Good day, everyone. I am Mark Lester Garcia from Ateneo de Manila University, Philippines, and I am here to present our study, which is entitled Writing PISA-Like Mathematics Items, the Case of Tertiary Mathematics Instructors from a State University in the Philippines. So, for the background of the study, the Philippines has actively participated in international large-scale assessments, or ILSAs. Its first ever participation in PISA was in 2018, although it has participated in TIMSS as early as 1995. It also joined the first administration of the Southeast Asia Primary Learning Metrics, or the CPLM, in 2019. As revealed by reports based on PISA 2018, TIMSS 2019, and CPLM 2019 results, students from the Philippines have consistently ranked bottom in terms of performance in mathematics compared to their international counterparts. PISA, TIMSS, and CPLM are large-scale assessments that are widely recognized at international and regional levels. These three assessments measure different sets of content domains, although they all measure mathematical literacy. They also vary in terms of target populations. But a consistent feature among the math tests in these assessments is that they employ context-based items or problems that occur in some tailor-made real-world scenario. The Department of Education, or DepEd, in the Philippines is actively implementing strategies that will help improve the country's devastating ranking in ILSAs. The department resolved to identify areas that require further study to inform policy and action, and declared its commitment to a continued participation in upcoming cycles of ILSAs. Several studies in the Philippines have attempted to uncover relationships between student performance in ILSAs and related variables. So here we have a study from Bernardo in 2020 and also from Orbeta et al. In 2020 as well. These studies, however, give more attention to student-centric factors such as cognitive, socioeconomic, psychological, and family backgrounds. According to Kirikides et al., teaching-related factors such as lesson structuring, questioning, and assessment had significant positive effects on students' learning outcomes in the primary and secondary education. Given that students' exposure to assessments is mainly confined to their test-taking experience within the classroom, the researchers thus deem it worthy to look at how math teachers construct test items. Khalid et al. Highlight the importance of assessment literacy, or AL, by saying that it empowers teachers to pinpoint instructional needs. But unfortunately, Cagasan et al. Reported that assessment literacy of basic education teachers in the Philippines is below the baseline level. Moreover, Griffin and colleagues found that assessments in Philippine classrooms are mostly summative, and traditional assessments such as true or false, short answer, and supply type items are abound. Thus, this paper seeks to answer the following research questions. First, how do math teachers construct context-based math items that are inspired by items from ILSAs? And second, what challenges do math teachers face as they perform this assessment task? Now, for the related literature, Fulkerson et al. In 2009 proposed three phases of item writing, where item writing is viewed from a problem-solving perspective. So we have the initial representation phase, the exploration phase, and the solution phase. Now, in the following year, Fulkerson et al. Found in a succeeding study that experienced writers demonstrated more forward motions in item writing compared to inexperienced writers, who showed meta-clarification, missing information, or moments of impasse. There are many studies on context-based items and PISA-like math items, such as that of Hendro Anto et al., where they adopted released PISA 2012 math items by translating these to Bahasa and administering the items to students. Another is by Wijaya et al., where they focused on analyzing grades 9 and 10 students' errors in released PISA math items in Indonesia. Prototypes of PISA-like math items were documented in studies done by Kohar et al. And by Zulkardi and Kohar, and in both studies, task designers created items following the PISA Math Assessment Framework, which was then revised based on expert reviews before administering the items to students for field testing. So, for the research methodology, this research is a qualitative study that utilized a narrative case study approach. So, what is this approach? According to Sunday et al., this approach incorporates both case study and narrative inquiry. In this study, writing PISA-like math items served as the context, while narrative became the vessel in understanding the specified case. When fused together, these two approaches serve as a bifocal lens through which specific item writing activities are magnified and deeply understood, owing to the personal experiences of the research participants. The respondents in the study consisted of four tertiary math instructors from a state university in northern Mindanao, Philippines. The instructors shall be identified as Ben, Grace, Michaela, and Sanvi. Their academic background and teaching qualifications are related to the field of mathematics education. Also, they all have master's degree in education, primarily major in mathematics, and have been teaching for at least 1 year in their current institution. None of them have any prior experience related to PISA or writing PISA-like math items. These four instructors underwent a 1 day seminar workshop on writing PISA-like math items, which was conducted via Zoom. So during the seminar, the respondents were given an orientation regarding PISA and the PISA Math Assessment Framework. Then, in the latter half, they were tasked to create PISA-like math items with a given table of specifications or TOS for content and context categories. Each participant was assigned to write four items, each corresponding to a unique content category and a unique context category. So for your reference, please refer to the TOS below. Once they had submitted their items, these were forwarded to experts for feedback, which was returned to them for revision. Days after the revision of items, a focus group discussion or FGD was conducted. The transcripts from the FGD were then analyzed using thematic content analysis. So there were two primary themes that emerged from the participants' narratives, and these were first the phases of item writing, and second, you have the dimensions of item writing. And there are three sub-themes under phases, while there are also three sub-themes under dimensions. So let's talk about theme number one. This theme talks about the distinct phases in which the item writing experiences of the participants can be classified. So first, you have the planning phase. During this phase, the participants initiated their item writing tasks, marked by their engagement in reflective behaviors at the start of the workshop. Then it was followed by the enacting phase, which involved explorations of potentially helpful information for the item they are currently creating and building a notable structure of the item. Finally, the reviewing phase concludes their item writing activity, and this includes final revisions in preparation for submitting their items. It also additionally includes the item revisions that are based on the feedback of Philippine experts with experience in PISA. So, first sub-theme, planning. So, here are the prominent points. So, apparently there was no clear plan at the onset of the item writing task, and it was clear that there was a use of brute force as a strategy. As for the case of Grace, her goal was simply to finish all four items, nothing more, nothing less. And additionally, Grace stated that she used her instincts in writing items. It means, for example, when she hears a particular content category, she associates it with the first thing that comes to her mind. For sub-theme 1B, which is an acting, apparently the participants seemed to engage in a puzzle game as they aligned content and context. And this was apparent in the narrative of Ben, who said that it was challenging to piece together content and context categories. Sanvi, on the other hand, prioritized fitting questions into the categories. Now, continuing this sub-theme, it was also clear that participants consulted various reference materials before and during item writing. So this includes the PISA Assessment Framework, the templates, submission templates, and also the slides given during the seminar. The participants also used released PISA math items as the basis for the context of their items. And specifically for Ben and Grace, they were constantly referring to items in the slides during the seminar. So still on sub-theme 1B, Michaela said that she included pictures. She had this intention because this was influenced with the presence of pictures in released items. So she thought that pictures maybe would be a good supplement to students taking the test. And then Sanvi, on the other hand, admitted to copying an existing item, but then replacing the name of the character and creating a story out of it. For sub-theme 1C, for reviewing, the participants said that they didn't have enough time to write the items, hence they did not have enough time to review the items. So for Grace and Michaela, this is true, but specifically for Michaela, she said that she was able to review the first two items, but not the last two items. For Ben, there was no concrete evidence that he was able to review the items because right after finishing the fourth item, he submitted the items right away. And finally, for Grace, she was generally satisfied with the outcome of her items, except for one where she felt she had a misconception on the context category, which is the scientific category. Still on subtheme 1C, Sanvi feels that her questions are highly realistic, and this was pointed out by her expert evaluator. All in all, reviewing activities consisted of scrolling the documents, rereading the items, and counter-checking them with a table of specifications. Now let's go to the second theme, which is the dimensions of item writing. So there are also three sub-themes here. The responses of the participants revealed that there were certain aspects to the activity of item writing. These came in the form of cognitive, behavioral, and psychological dimensions. The cognitive dimension is primarily about the participants' thoughts, mental processes, and activities as they embark on the item writing task. The behavioral dimension exposes the writer's idiosyncratic ways as they progress through the task. And finally, the psychological dimension describes the participants' emotions throughout the task. So for some snippets from each subtheme, subtheme 2A, cognitive dimension, the participants engage in a problem-solving task in that they try to resolve arising conflicts in the predetermined content-context combination assigned to each item. And also another strand under the cognitive dimension was the decision-making process as the participants constantly made small decisions regarding item resources, formatting, and editing. For subtheme 2B, which is behavioral dimension, the video recordings showed that most participants follow a unidimensional, smooth flow in creating the items. This means that each participant created the first item to completion before proceeding to the next, and this pattern was consistent until all four items were finished. However, Grace was the only one who had a nonlinear progression along the item writing activity. This means that she went back and forth the items. This also shows how writers have a unique way or style in accomplishing writing tasks. Such styles are influenced by individual factors such as experience, personality, preferences, and creativity. And finally, for subtheme 2C, which is psychological dimension, the participants felt a range of emotions throughout the seminar workshop, and this was prominent in their narratives. So for Ben, it was mixed emotions, fear. As for Grace, she felt that she was organized because she couldn't get a hold of her ideas. For Grace and Michaela, they shared sentiments regarding distractions at home during the seminar workshop. And for Sanvi, she expressed dismay and embarrassment because of the items that she created. So finally, for the conclusions, writing PISA-like math items is a multifaceted endeavor encompassing several phases and dimensions. The planning and acting and reviewing phases provide a structured approach to item development. Meanwhile, the cognitive, behavioral, and psychological dimensions highlight the teacher's personal experiences. They reflect the reality that the teachers face as they go through item writing. Considering these elements adds more depth to understanding the phenomenon of item writing, something that research in mathematics education gives inadequate attention to. Paying attention to this phenomenon can allow educators and assessment developers to take a closer look at how to better support writers as they embark on this task. Implementing the planning and acting and reviewing phases allows for a careful item development, thus leading to higher quality assessment. So that is all for my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. Here are the references that were used.